All I'm gonna say is she comes back.
Wow. That is exciting.
1,000 years later. So because she becomes one of the protagonists, and the protagonist in the trilogy, who is her direct ancestor, they join forces at the beginning, and then towards the end of the trilogy, they actually split. And his daughter and her cousin actually become the main protagonists. They're babes. They're not even born yet at the end of the trilogy, but at the very beginning of the second one, then they're born, and they're identical. Even though they're cousins, they're identical, and they just, they're raised together, they love each other, but eventually they grow up and become adversaries, as do the two adult protagonists, which Nadia being one of them.
Yeah.
So, and that's, I'm only like 88,000 words into the first book, and oh my God, the editor's just going to tear this thing apart. So I really haven't done much on it in about a year, simply because of all the editing that goes into releasing a book. It's just, there's so much.
It's a lot.
And we're trying to get all three out in about 2 years. So Art came out in March, and then Endeavor's Run will be Christmas. The second book is Katana Red, probably next summer. And then maybe Drake and Roos will be out by the following Christmas of 2022. That's what I'm hoping. But by then, I really got to have at least the first book of the second trilogy finished, so that we can, start the editing. Because, Madeline, editing, it's at least a year. Nothing moves fast. And if it moves too fast, then you probably got to go back. And both Arc and Endeavor's Run were edited quite heavily before Dalton Boyle ever got involved. And frankly, they weren't good enough. They just weren't good enough. And once their editor got involved, then they became something that I'm actually proud of. I mean, I look at people say, "Oh God, this is written so well." I said, "Well, we should have said it a couple of years ago," So yeah, there's nothing more important, frankly, than a good editor, and one that's not afraid to, impose his will, so to speak.
Yeah, brutally honest. I like to be told everything straight up. Just tell me, it's crap, I'll fix it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. At one point he says, "You got to lose this chapter." Oh, lose a chapter? That's like 2 or 3 weeks worth of work.
Yeah.
Okay. Delete. Yeah, I know. But it was better. It was simply better. At one point, I tried to show, a bonding of the two love interests, the protagonist and love interest. This is in Endeavor's Run. No, in Katana Red. I'm sorry. And he comes back and he says, "This is just annoying." Lose it. Like, okay, well, there's a reason why I write action sci-fi and not right.
So you've got, let's see, you said 4 coming out in the next
3 more.
Oh, 3 more. Okay. So that's gonna be a lot coming up.
Right. And
what does your writing schedule look like with all of this that's going on?
Well, I have a day job, which encompasses weeks and weeks at a time. The way I work, Madeline, is that, I'm a drilling engineer. So I go to a rig and I'll sit there for weeks. And when I'm on site, it's very difficult for me to write original manuscript. To edit, not so tough. It's just not, for some reason. And I can devote quite a bit of time, but to write an original manuscript, I have to have 0 distractions. And life on a rig is anything but that. I mean, there's just a lot going on. And if you've looked at my bio, you see that I live in Baja, and it's a slice of paradise. I go there and the tranquility is just all encompassing. And I'm able to write. I sit down on my little couch. I've got an office. It's all set up. I never go in there. I write on my couch. I don't know why. And I'm able to pound stuff out. And I really like early morning writing. If I get up like 4 or 5, because when I'm at work, I get up at like 1 to 2. So if I getting up at 4 or 5, that's like really late for me. So I feel like I'm, you know, I'm playing hooky or something, you know. Then I get my cup of coffee and I start writing, and you know, when the sun starts peeking up, that's probably my prime writing time of the day. Yeah, right at dawn.
Nice. It's calm, quiet. That is one of the
Very
good
calm.
times.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Gosh. So go ahead and tell our viewers where they can find you and your work.
Okay. I have a website. It's www.tobinmarks.com. There's not a lot on it now. I had another one. The publisher didn't really like it, to be honest. You know, there was good reason why they didn't. So they created another one, and it's pretty bare bones right now. I just have to devote a little bit of time to it. I've got written a lot of poetry that I'd like to put in. Probably should actually work on my blog some. I did some blogging early on and then haven't done much since. My brother, who's another astrophysicist type, like my dad, I'm not. He told me, he says, listen, you know, you ought to really self-edit your blogs, because when people see you write like that, they think, okay, if he's an idiot when he's writing his blog, his books, he's going to be an idiot in his books too. Like, thanks, Steve. I feel a lot better now. So yeah, there, and the book itself, of course, is on Amazon, Kobo, Barnes and Noble. Um, the A lot of the reviews, as you know, are on Goodreads and Amazon. Nobody's put anything on Kobo yet, and I doubt that they will, or Barnes and Noble. So, and the reviews have been primarily very positive. Now, one thing that I have to say, then, and this took me by surprise. I really did not expect it, because this is you know, it's an action-packed sci-fi, and women have given me better reviews than the men. And that was something that I kind of didn't think. I thought it would be the opposite, just because, you know, I'm a little graphic in my violence. And I thought, oh, you know, maybe I should tone this down a little bit. And the only person that said anything about, oh, I don't like it because it's too graphic, was a guy. And I'm like, okay, I'm good.
That's crazy. It was real, like it was good. I loved how graphic you were. So
Oh, good, good. Well,
definitely
yeah.
keep it up.
Well, when you read Endeavor's running, I think it gets a little bit more so. In fact, the editor told me, you know, on the assessment, he says, okay, you really have a chance to make them sick. I'm like, what? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, because the protagonist has a sword fight with a Spartan on a virtual reality. Yeah, he's on like, okay, I stole this from Star Trek, sue me, but it's a virtual reality deck where you can, you know, and he just, you know, he practices with this katana, and he has these battle sequence programs brought up, and the computer is like this mommy's knows best kind of cheeky computer, you know, that he talks to. And so he was giving her a hard time because the computer is feminine, and he was giving her a hard time. So she just brought up the most difficult battle program, yeah, and that they have, and it almost killed him.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a brutal fight. It was a lot of fun.
I bet. Gosh, I can't wait to read it. Okay, so one more thing before we go. If there was something interesting you could share with your readers that no one would know, what would it be?
Gosh, I don't know. I kind of touched on the witchcraft thing. And in Ark of the Apocalypse, there's one line that barely alludes to it. It's where Nadia and Olga are having kind of a set to in Olga's kitchen. And Nadia tells her, you know, don't ever do that again. And Olga kind of apologized, but it's not an apology. And Nadia says, well, if that's an apology, it sucks. And she says, well, I've never been good at the repentance thing. And Nadia comes back and says, well, maybe that's why mankind used to burn our kind at the stake. And Olga comes back and says, and now we're, you know, repaying the favor, which is basically world destruction. on fire. So maybe that. I guess maybe I give away too much. Yeah. Other than my
Awesome.
real name versus my pen name that I'm not going to let you know right now.
That sounds good. Well, everyone, make sure you check out his stuff. And thank you for hanging out with us.
Thank you, Madeline.